Good morning, everyone. You are at a Forever Forward, which is a virtual webinar learning program presented by Entrepreneurs Forever. Today's topic is grants for small business, which has gotten many of you interested, and I can't wait to dig into it. Let me just do a few introductory slides, and then we will get right into the meat of this. Today's introductions are going to be just in chat. We're going to tell you a little bit about Entrepreneurs Forever, though I see a lot of familiar faces. Some folks might not know about our organization. We'll do the presentation and then some sharing if we have time. If you'd like to, you're welcome to tell us who you are in chat with your business, location, how you found your way here. If you remember, we know that. If you have a specific question about grants, this would be a great place to put it so that Ashlee knows what you're interested in learning about. For those of you who may not know, Entrepreneurs Forever's mission is to empower all small business owners to grow thriving businesses that sustain their families and support their communities. We have weekly learning sessions for you to learn more about what our program is and decide if it's for you, and you can sign up on our website. Upcoming learning opportunities, I have somebody doing tax strategies for small business. This is one that people ask for all the time, but I think it might be a little bit like taking medicine. Like they know they need it, but they don't really want to come, because I will tell you, we do not have the signups for the tax strategies that we have for this session, but I bet you all will come and surprise me in the end. We are also doing our second online speed networking on December 10th. It's for members only. So if you're not a member already, there's some more encouragement for you to do that. All of our programs can be registered for on our website. Now, here's our big proviso. This presentation does not take the place, back to it, sorry, of getting professional advice from your own paid advisors. No one can come back to me in 3 months and say, but Ashlee Carter said if I did this, I would get a $10,000 grant. I wish that Ashlee Carter and I were that all powerful. We are not. We're going to give you some great information. We may be reality checking for you a little bit what it's like to get grants, but I think with Ashlee's background and what she's seen work for small businesses, this will be absolutely worthwhile use of your time, and we're delighted that you're here. So without further ado, Ashlee Carter, A Carter Solutions, is one of our members, which is so fantastic. I love having our members be part of our webinar series. And this is what she specializes in. So I'm going to stop sharing and let Ashlee introduce herself, and then she's going to share her screen and she's going to take it from there. I have a handout for you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the handout as a PDF in the chat. It's nothing very sophisticated. It's just a handout to let you follow along with what's going on. But Ashlee, without further ado, please introduce yourself and then you can start sharing screen.
So hello, my name is Ashlee Carter. Thank you, Deborah, for providing me this space to connect with your network to speak about grants for small businesses. I am a member of a cohort with eForever, and thank you to Latoya Johnson-Rainey, who has been the leader of the cohort that I'm in. I'm excited to connect with you all. My background is in philanthropy. I worked for a number of years for private and corporate foundations. I also spent some time as a senior leader with a federally qualified health center here in Pittsburgh. And I have A Carter Solutions, where I've been doing grant writing before I had the organization for a number of years. And then officially, I started really digging deeper into doing grant writing and supporting organizations with identifying potential funders for the organizations and for the missions that they have for, excuse me, the communities that they serve.
So Ashlee, before we get started, if somebody actually needs help with writing a grant application, that is work that you do, correct?
Correct.
Okay, good. That's good to know.
So I will share my screen.
And for anyone who has joined us a little bit late, we're just doing introductions in the chat. If you want to tell us who you are, what your business is, that will help Ashlee and I as we proceed.
So to start, I would say that grants are not free money. They are strategic investments into your business's future. So I just want to make sure that I lay that groundwork out there and that statement out there, just so you all just know that it's not that free and clear money that anybody has access to and that you can get at any time. So through this kind of conversation that we'll have, I'll touch on grants for small businesses. I'll also speak about developing a strategy and setting goals, talk about the realities of fundraising, discuss some preparation if you're looking to apply for grants, what you do if you do not, or if you do receive funding from a potential grantor, and some resources, and then open it up for questions. So to first talk about it, so who gives grants to small businesses? So there are a number of organizations who has the potential to provide grants. Some of these organizations are federal government grants, so that can be for small business innovation. It can be for technology. It can be for industry-specific needs that you have. You also have state and local grantors who can be in the economic development space, the job creation space. You have private foundations that can be corporate foundations, family foundations, or even industry-specific foundations. And then you have specific focus grants that can be from minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, or veteran-owned businesses. So one of the things that I also want to reference, and I spoke to Deb about this, is that on January 9th, I know Deb provided a deeper dive, and it's on the Entrepreneurs Forever website, and it's under the 10 essential resources for small businesses. And it really references some potential funders for the Pittsburgh and Western Pennsylvania region. So I would encourage you to look there.
Yeah, and we'll provide the link in the follow-up email as well. But and here's the thing, if you're not in Pennsylvania, this is still a great webinar, and I hope you'll stick with us. And remember, frequently regional, local organizations are a fantastic place to look for funding. I know that here where I live, there's a whole North Street initiative in Pittsfield where if you open a storefront in downtown Pittsfield, even a pop-up, there's $9,000-$10,000 available to you. So your locality, even if it's not Pennsylvania, might be a great place to look. So sorry to interrupt.
Correct. No, please, at any time. So as you look at the next question, is this something that you want to pursue? So things that you really have to decide is if you have the time and capacity to even cultivate a potential funder. You have to think about if you have the time and capacity to actually write a grant application. They're not oftentimes one-page applications. You can be working for hours or days on an actual grant application, depending upon who the funder is. Do you have the time and capacity to provide follow-up? Do you have the time and capacity to report back in case they come to you with questions or additional information? And then also, do you have the means to provide outcomes for your grant? Because as I stated before, grants are not free money. A lot of times you have to report back on how you have spent the money that was allocated to your organization. So moving forward to developing a strategy and setting goals. So for developing the strategy, you really have to think about, are there any relationships that you have with potential funders or community organizations in your region? And that can be Entrepreneurs Forever. It can be maybe a Chamber of Commerce in your community. It can be maybe some local organizations that have meet and greets or some type of groups for entrepreneurs in your region. Then you also have to think about, does your business qualify for some type of special potential attention? So that can be, as I referenced earlier, a minority or woman-owned business, or is it located in a specific place that has some type of special interest in like funding your organization or your initiative? There is this, as an example, the Andrew Ellsworth Grant. And I was speaking to Deb about it. It was a RE-X prize winner. His name was Andrew Ellsworth, and he received $50,000 for his organization, Door Unhinged. And he received a lot of support from E4Ever. So that's how that's an example of leveraging a relationship that you have to potentially open the door for some funding for your organization.
Ashlee, let me just pause here and ask you a question. So it says, do you have a relationship with? So let's say I want to open my storefront in downtown Pittsfield, but I've never had a storefront and I don't know those people. isn't the application all the relationship I need? Are you telling me I need to call them beforehand? I need to go in and have an appointment? Aren't they just basing it on the application? Or are you telling me that getting yourself known before and around it is still important?
Getting yourself known and supported from the community is highly important before you go to the community, because you can put maybe a bakery or you can put a restaurant community, or maybe if you're looking to open up a bar in a community, but you have to do your research on that specific community to see if that's an actual need within that area, and see if there's representatives or if there's organizations, funders, people who are willing to support that type of initiative that you're trying to bring to that community.
Yeah, I know there was a Hot Plate Brewing opened here on North Street in Pittsfield, and they actually brought their E4All mentors with them to the town, the city council meeting to speak on their behalf. So
Mhm.
they created an alliance around what it was they were doing and how they would be a magnet for nightlife on North Street. And they got I believe a no strings attached, either low cost
Mhm.
grant or a loan or a grant, and it was really helpful to have those relationships.
It is, because the people, even if a person or organization or funder can support you in that moment, they may know some people who they can connect you with to potentially support you down the line. So this also, grant making for organizations is a strategic endeavor, and it really requires careful planning, relationship building, as Deb and I stated, and some goal setting. So I ask these questions to really help you think about how you're using the relationships and the connections that you currently have to effectively plan for planning and scaling your business, for sustaining your business, and also leveraging the potential opportunities that you currently have for your organization. I
Yeah,
know a
and
lot of, I
go
was
ahead,
just gonna say,
Ashley.
I know a lot of times when I connect with nonprofits about potential funders, one of the first questions I ask is who is on your board? Because a lot of times your board members or even like your close network of individuals can help you leverage funding for your organization.
All right, so I want to just reality check here. If I've decided I want to go for one of these North Street grants, right? It's $9,000 or $10,000. The amount of time and energy put into trying to get it, because it's not a sure thing, is zero sum. If I'm doing that, I'm not doing something else. So if you can go to your bank and get a low interest loan and just get it and then start to put that money into action, that could be a better choice for your business. So just be aware that this applying for or competing for limited funds that is a grant is not a sure thing, and it's a lot of time and energy. So I just want to reality check that.
And even piggybacking off of that, going to your banks is also relationship based as well, because no one's going to just give you money just because you walk in the door with an application and a smile.
All right.
So for this, when you think about setting goals for your organization as you look to submit grants, you really want to make sure that they're clear, measurable, and strategic. So I gave an example of just maybe a goal that can be used. Hold on, I'm trying to close out my screen so I can see the full. There it is. So thriving partners will increase local employment by hiring 25 new full-time employees within 18 months of receiving grant funding. So this is really helping you understand that goals are essential for aligning your organizational goals with the funding priorities of the potential funder. So when you're looking at identifying the goal that you want to speak to the funder about, you want to make sure that they're SMART goals. So making sure that they're specific, measurable, achievable, relevant to the work that the funder is supporting, and also time bound. Because if you're saying that this Thriving Partners organization wants to get $50,000 from your funder and just have the money in perpetuity, they're going to look at you like, no, we need to know a clear date as to when you're going to fully expend this full amount of money that we're giving you. So another example, like if you're looking to do some community impact, you might say like this Thriving Partner organization wants to establish 3 STEAM education programs in local schools by 2025. So you're giving the year that it's going to be obtained, or the year it's going to be completed, who you're looking to serve, and how many individuals or how many programs you're looking to serve.
I love those examples because those goals can clearly be congruent with the organization's goals, right? So maybe there's a workforce development grant that would like this Thriving Partners proposal, and maybe there's a STEM education one that would be better. So knowing what that organization wants to fund is really critical.
So when you're looking at your grant strategies, you also want to make sure that they define specific objectives. And you want to ask yourself these objectives, asking yourself, what problem are you looking to address? Does it align with the funding priority of the funder? A lot of funders, they may only be looking to support maybe startups or technology-based organizations. So if they're looking to support that, would they support maybe, as I stated before, a bar or something that's coming up or a lounge that's coming up? Does it align with the geographic focus of your funder? So if this organization is only looking to support Pittsburgh regions, are they looking to support maybe somewhere in New York? No, because it's clearly specific to the Pittsburgh region. Does this funding opportunity align with your long-term vision? So one of the things that you also want to think about when you're applying for grants is it going to tie you or pull you so far away from your mission or the vision that you have that you're spending so much time writing a grant to fit into this square box that the funder has, that you're taking this time away from actually running your business. What are your organization's expected outcomes? So if you're telling this funder that, you're going to open up 25 new businesses or you're going to serve this many people, are you actually going to do it? Are you going to be able to obtain those objectives and those outcomes that you stated? Or are you just saying that so that you can receive the grant? Keep in mind, if you provide fictitious information in a grant application, they can ask for their money back or they cannot support you again. So keep in mind that you're actually speaking to the things that you can do. As stated before, leveraging the partnerships and connections. A lot of times you may have that opportunity to where you may be at an event and you might be at the table with about 5 different individuals who potentially can support your organization. So maybe they can help provide that connection to you, to the bank, or maybe to the economic development group that they work for, maybe a community development block grant that they know about, using that connection. And also, is it sustainable? Are you looking for a funder to support your organization knowing that you're not financially healthy? Are you going to potentially have to close your doors in the next 6 months if you don't get this grant? So you have to show that you are able to utilize this funding and that your organization is in good financial health to where this funding is actually going to have to be just given to you and then lost. So the realities of fundraising with grants. So when you're in the process of really thinking about grant funding, you really want to think about these other opportunities that can potentially help you. So remember that grants are a piece of a pie. As I stated before, you do not want to just go to grants and think, hey, if I get this grant, it's going to be the end all be all, because it's not. So you really want to think about potentially using grant funding if you're looking to start a business. So with that, it can allow small businesses to raise funds from a large number of people, like your network. Angel investors can support with maybe having some wealthy or high net worth individuals invest into your organization to provide capital. And in exchange for that, they typically want equity in your organization. You can have a venture capitalist. This can be particularly like popular in the technology or innovation space. Social media is a really great tool. You have access to millions of people that are national. So you may have 100 individuals on your friends list. They have 100 individuals on their friends list who potentially has 100 individuals on their friends list. So that's allowing you to leverage your resources, because then they can potentially provide support for your organization, or they can promote your organization to other individuals or to other businesses to help you get people who can invest into your organization, whether that be new customers for your business or potential funders for your business. And then lastly, digital tools. One of the things that I really used to talk with organizations about is, if you're investing through sponsorship or through some other type of means to an organization, is there a way that somebody potentially maybe has a QR code or something that they can kind of scan and say, hey, I want to provide some funding to your organization, so maybe you can provide some in-kind things to another organization. So in-kind would be you being able to provide maybe a service, or provide, maybe if you sold t-shirts, you can provide some t-shirts to maybe a small local organization for no fee, because you already had somebody invest into it. So you're basically donating these t-shirts to another organization. So some other things to think about are also kind of access to capital. remember that you always want to make sure that your funding is diversified. So whether it be through grants, whether it be through, as I stated before, the social media, digital tools, and other things like that, make sure that it's diversified. Also think about the economic conditions. You think about how they fluctuate. I know when, as we all know, the elections just came about, a lot of people were looking at their stock and in their investments. It was on the rise. But also think about also times when things are not on the rise. So that also kind of can impact the grant sizes or even the potential taking that into account. Also taking into account financial literacy. So you really want to make sure that you have access to an accountant, a CPA, or a village that can really help you effectively navigate your fundraising and your financial landscape. Because one thing that you always have to think about, as I stated before, is the financial health of your organization. People are not going to invest into things, people are not going to support things that cannot be supported or that are hanging on by a shoestring budget. You really want to make sure that your organization is in a really healthy place. So another thing is if you're providing a pitch, when you have somebody, you have somebody's attention, you think about like what's next. So if you're having this pitch, if you have maybe Bill Gates in a room, do you have maybe a 20-second pitch that you can provide to help people kind of understand who you serve, how you serve them, why somebody should support your business? Because a lot of times you're not going to have somebody in an organization or in your kind of sphere for 50 minutes. So you have to be able to capitalize on the short time that you potentially have that person in your space.
Ashlee,
Well,
let me
go
ask
ahead.
one question, which you may cover in a little bit, so I hope I'm not interrupting. But
No, you're fine.
when you think about a pitch, like E for All does like a pitch contest, and are you better off if you have that bakery saying, I need a new industrial mixer, or I need a new oven, or I need a training program, a thing that they can put a price tag on and give you $10,000 for? Or when you got Bill Gates, just get Bill Gates to write you a $10,000 check? Which one? I mean, are we looking for something that they can see the multiplier effect if they invest in that specific thing?
So yes, a lot of times you are. And it also depends on the individual. So you may have a person like Bill Gates or a person, maybe a local person who has money that just wants to invest into something or invest into you because they believe in what you can do. But a lot of times you'll have organizations or funders who actually want to see where their money is going to. So yes, you do have to sometimes provide like that clear cut. And I do give some examples of that, but that clear cut way of how their money is going to be fully expended.
And then you have network as the last thing. So that's just what you're saying about being known in the community, correct?
Yes. And just leveraging when you're known in the community, really leveraging that access to people and also thinking about your follow through. A lot of times we'll connect with somebody, exchange business cards, but then you'll never connect with them again. So thinking about when you're connecting with somebody, you're exchanging those business cards, are you only reaching back out to them because you want something, or are you reaching back out kind of consistently to say, hey, how are you doing? Hey, I wanted to send you a Merry Christmas or things like that. But being able to realize that your network is just not that like one-time connection that you have with a person. And then also just to close that out, I just want to remind you all that small businesses must be able to pivot and be resourceful to navigate the realities of fundraising and to really doing it effectively. Excuse me. So I will talk about preparation as you're thinking about preparing for fundraising. And also I have my slide deck fully on my screen. So if you are asking questions in the chat, Deb, I'm going to lean into you to
Yeah,
see.
no, I'm watching
Okay.
out for it. So far, we're good.
Okay. Thank
What-
you.
Our plan is to sort of let you go through it and
Okay.
then stop the recording and really get into a conversation so folks can ask about their situations, etc.
Okay. Sounds good. So this is the scenario that I was kind of touching on when you had referenced that question that you had. So I have like a local bakery applied for a $50,000 economic development grant. So thinking about a case for support, if you're looking to apply for funding. So this delicious bakery, which is a fictitious bakery, is requesting $50,000 to purchase equipment to increase production in the region. So I wanted to ask the question to the group, and you can take yourself off mute or whatever. Do you think that just writing this, the person or the organization actually received funding?
I'm gonna say no because I tried that line and it didn't work.
Okay. Anyone else?
I see some no's in the chat. People are participating, just typing it in.
Okay. And you're correct, it is no. One of the things that you have to think about when you're writing, you really want to make sure that you're not just asking for something, but you want to connect it to the funder's mission or even to that focus area. So kind of rewording that, Delicious Bakery is requesting $50,000 to purchase equipment that will enable the bakery to create a workforce development program for underrepresented youth through a culinary training program. So with kind of reframing that, you're tapping into the potential to impact the future of a generation, but then you're also tapping into the potential to increase the economy and really kind of breathe life into a new economy. So you want to be able to kind of leverage what the funder is looking to do. And a lot of times, even with the way that I write, I try to tap into some of the keywords or some things that they're using, or maybe some current trends that is going on within the funder's organization or the funder sphere, to really kind of show that you're paying attention, to show that you're actually doing your research, and to show that you are really interested in receiving funding from this potential funder.
And Ashlee, I know that this is just an overall example, but for instance, go back there just 1 second. Could it even say, I think you can just hit the back, but anyway, it could even say to enable 18 low-income youth from the Mount Lebanon area to get training that will assure their employment. I mean, you could get really granular there about how many people, what their future is. So, and the more that people can see what they're going to get for their investment in you, I think the more interesting this becomes.
You're absolutely correct.
All right, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. Please do it anytime. Excuse me. So looking at a problem statement, so you submitted or developed that case for support, you're looking at the problem statement now. So somebody could write, sales are down due to outdated equipment. That's a given. Yes. Okay. We're sorry that your sales are down. But if you're really looking to tweak that to really be more appealing, I'm using Pittsburgh as an example because, of course, that's where I'm located. In the Pittsburgh manufacturing sector, 78% of small and medium-sized manufacturers lack access to advanced manufacturing technologies, affecting 250 plus companies and 15,000 workers. So when you think of that and you look at that, some things that you really want to remember is identifying the location you're in, because you need to make sure, as I stated before, that the geographic focus area of that funder is also in alignment with the organ or the urban. Also talk about that current situation that's going on within that location. Some evidence around the problem, talk about maybe some root causes, then also talk about the impact of what you can do, and then also the urgency of it. In this slide, I really only just referenced the first three, but digging deeper, you can definitely really talk about like that impact and the urgency of the support.
Michael, you ask a great question, and we'll get to that in the questions section.
Okay. So with this is just a sample grant announcement. So I won't read it, but I'll give you some time to kind of look at it. And then this sample really just talks about just some things like if you're looking at a potential announcement or looking at a potential RFP that comes out, what are some of the first things that you would do? So what my suggestion would be is to open the link, because just from this short little 3-sentence paragraph, it's not really telling you everything you need to do to effectively write an application for this grantor. So you really want to open that link up, obtain some additional information. As I keep stating, make sure that it's in your region that they support, because you will have a lot of national organizations, but a lot of times some national organizations have no history of supporting any type of financial or organizational needs within your region. So as I stated earlier, you want to make sure that you're not investing your time, capacity, and money into writing something that may just go into an abyss and you'll never hear from it again. So, excuse me, asking yourself, does this align with your business? Does it align with your business goals? And what is the actual criteria for this funding source? A lot of times you have to peel back the onion, because they'll tell you some things that they're looking to do, but then when you actually really do your due diligence with it, there's a lot of information that they're requesting. Sometimes you may have a grantor who will say that we'll give you $1 million, but you have to match it with another $1 million. So do you have the capacity to do that? So really kind of understanding what they're looking to support, understanding what the actual kind of fine print in that potential support is.
And the other thing that this feels like to me, it's like It's not like applying to college where there's a universal application. I mean, what the National Science Foundation wants to see is different than what the National Education Association or a green kind of investment fund. So there might be some language that's common among each of them, but much more of it is going to be custom to what they're willing to fund. So this is not a once done and forget it. You need to think about each one.
Correct. So then I talked about, the sample scenario. I gave you an example of a case. I gave you the problem statement and things to look for when applying. So now if you're looking to submit, one of the things that I strongly encourage you to do is to start early. If you have a deadline of December 31st, if I know about the grant application earlier in the year, maybe mid-year, I'm going to start gathering the materials that I need for it, because that's also giving you time to ask questions, because maybe you need to contact that potential funder. Maybe you need to contact other people who you know have received support from that funder, but really kind of doing your due diligence to understand what this funder is looking for. If you have the capacity, building a relationship with the funder. Can you set up a meeting? If it's something from the state, can you maybe reach out to some of your representatives who can do a warm handoff or a nice introduction for you? But really kind of understanding how you can really use everything that you have and really mapping out that plan to complete that proposal. So then also researching the funder. You want to do your research thoroughly because you want to understand their mission and their values, understanding that, do their values align with yours? Does their mission align with yours? And then you also want to align your request with the funders. As I stated before, when you're looking to apply, pull out some of those key terms that they're using, pull out some scenarios that they may have referenced, but really figuring out how you can intertwine your application to what they've put out through their RFP or through their resources that they submitted the information through. Also, follow directions. One of the things that I've seen as a grant reviewer and at the tables that I've sat at for people who have been foundation leaders or individuals who have sent funding, 9 times out of 10, they're saying that people are not following directions. They'll ask you to answer one simple question and a person will go totally left field, providing information or thinking that they're deep diving into something. But in all actuality, they're going totally left from what was asked. So if you have, a lot of times also what funders have been doing to kind of limit that is they'll give you a character limit. So it also kind of restricts you and also makes you be intentional with how you're answering the question. So please, I highly encourage you to follow the directions. Another thing is to really kind of develop that compelling narrative. So you want to be clear and engaging. You want to pull the information that you've referenced and that you identified in that case for support and problem statement. You want to also identify why you're unique, because a lot of times there's other organizations that are doing the same thing you're doing. So what is that specific niche that you're in that you can say, hey, I'm the one that you should support? Also use data to support your information or support your case. As I stated before, the 28%, 78% of individuals in the region are suffering from a certain thing. So this is why I want to meet that need. Also demonstrate your expertise. So highlight your track record for what you're doing. What are your organization's qualifications? And then also sustainability. Clearly express how your project will continue after the funding ends. And also if it can potentially be scaled. Love to see how, if they give you $100,000, how you can scale that to potentially support more people than they would have thought that you could have supported. So if you're saying you're supporting 25 people with this 100,000, if you can get up to 50 people with that 100,000, they're going to love it. They're going to want to invest in you again because you're able to leverage that funding to do some additional things. So this is just some additional information about when you're submitting, really making sure that you're not writing it alone. A lot of us are not really good writers, so I would lean into you to really identify a potential proofreader, tell some great stories, and to really, like if you're in a pitch contest, get help with writing it and practice it. It's okay with maybe standing in the mirror, developing your pitch and really fleshing it out and writing it or saying it a few times just to get comfortable with it. So overall, just as you're submitting your applications, your proposals, really proofread, follow directions, get others to review it. And even a lot of times it's really great to have some supplementary materials, and that can be like letters of support. A lot of times when I was doing grant writing for one of the organizations I work with, we had applied for the Human Services Fund. And a lot of times you had to have letters of support or MOUs to show that you're collaborating with other organizations, to show that the organizations who you say you're collaborating with are actually coming to the table supporting you with your work. But it also helps with leveraging those relationships and showing these investors that you actually are tapping into the community and you're not like in a silo working alone. So what's next if you did or did not receive funding? So if you do receive funding, I highly encourage you to thank the funder. You want to make sure that you are sending those letters, connecting with them, telling them how appreciative you are of the funding that was received. Create that detailed plan. How will you use the funds? Is there a time limit? How do you fully expect to meet all of your outcomes or objectives? Budgeting. You want to make sure you account for and track how you're spending that money, because if they audit you or if one of the companies they work with wants to understand how you spent that money, you want to be able to show it, because you want to be able to, if you have an opportunity in the future, leverage them again. Building a team, because you want to realize that you don't have to do it alone. So Entrepreneurs Forever is a great resource. If you have a team, if you're looking to really kind of figure out what you want to do, leveraging the people around you, helping them, or using them to help you develop that business plan, develop a more effective potential business plan, develop some type of marketing strategies, really using the people around you and realizing that you don't have to do it alone. And also setting some milestones, so tracking your spending and your progress, because as I grant funding is not 9 times out of 10 not free and clear money. So you want to be able to show that you can track your financial spends, as well as how you fully completed the action plans and the goals and objectives that you identified. So if you did not receive the funding, I still highly encourage you to thank the funder, because you want to be able to connect with them. So you thank them and say, thank you for the opportunity to submit this grant. I would love to connect with you to see if maybe we can assess and reflect why I didn't receive that funding. So see if there's areas that you can improve your pitch, maybe the business model, or even maybe that grant application. But having that follow through, don't let it just say, oh, they told me no, so I don't want to apply again. You're going to hear no 1,000 times before you hear that yes. But you can always use those no's to help you redevelop what you need to do in order to potentially receive funding from that funder the next time, or from another funder. And also a lot of times the funder may just say no because they don't have the money at that time, but give them the space to say that. So explore other funding opportunities. So they may have told you no, but maybe they can, after you've assessed and reflect with them, maybe they can help you or lead you or direct you to another potential funding source that can support you. So just because that door is closed, maybe there's another opportunity, but you'll never know unless you ask or unless you connect. Network, connect with other entrepreneurs, maybe get a mentor. I reference again, E4Ever, connect with people who may be on your cohort. Maybe also identify potential investors to get advice, get your brand out there through the sponsorship, social media things, and also kind of figuring out how you can align with others who are either doing your work or who may have a gap that needs to be filled, but really kind of developing that partnership and networking. So the partnership should be strategic, but you want to make sure that it's helping you leverage potential funding. So it can leverage the funding, it could potentially leverage resources, leverage expertise, or even potentially provide like a shared benefit. So maybe with a partnership, you can together go to a funder and say, hey, I need this equipment, or I need to figure out this new way of doing something. And I've developed this partnership with this organization who is doing it as well. So we want to, figure that out. So these are some resources that I wanted to share with you all. And
They're in the handout.
Okay. So also just, to wrap up our time together, I just want you all to remember that fundraising is not easy. You want to focus on your relationships, not just the applications, because the most successful entrepreneurs they build genuine connections with funders long before they really need that money. So like I stated before earlier, networking is not just reaching out to them when you want something, but to actually be strategic with that connection, really connecting with people that are not, you're not just kind of quote unquote using. Also apply the same attributes you did with starting your business. When you wanted to start your business, you didn't just hear no and say, okay, I quit, I'm not doing it. You want to make sure that you continue to identify opportunities, adapt to any feedback you get, and also be persistent, keep working. And then what I'll also say is I really challenge each and every one of you to really take the rest of this month, maybe to even just review your current funding strategies against what we just discussed or what I talked about, and then identify areas where you potentially can implement some of these different tools and information that I provided to you. So I will thank you. And I know Deb said that you all have my information, so I will close out of this.
Yeah, and Ashlee, before I stop recording and let people ask their individual questions, let me ask one general one that I think even somebody who's watching the recording would want to have. If you have a small business, you're a solo coach or consultant, or you own a salon or something really straightforward, you're a weaver, whatever, and you don't want to create a new program to train workforce or whatever, does this even matter to you? Is this realistic to think? I know Cindy, who's on here, who's a she paints pet portraits. It's hard for me to imagine that there's an organization that wants to support Cindy's work from home business. I mean, does she go to shelters? And I mean, does she have to create a new program to justify getting this? I'm a little confused. You're muted still, Ashlee.
I'm sorry, I was trying to answer the question and look in the chat, so I'm sorry. Can you repeat what
So
you?
the idea is, if you have a business that doesn't necessarily lend itself to needing an investment, it's a small revenue, you're a single coach, or you're Cindy who paints cats and dogs. I mean, is this just not really meant for you, or is there always an angle that somebody would consider?
There's always an angle. It depends on what the funder is and who the funder is. So as I stated before, it's, there are grant opportunities, but also are there angel investors or venture capitalists that potentially could help support your organization or invest into your organization. Grants are always, it's iffy. I can't say yes, I can't say no, because depending on what's coming down the pipeline, you never know. Like I stated earlier with the elections, you never know what type of resources may or may not be out there. So it can shift at any time.
Okay. I am going to use that to stop the recording.